and if you end it with E, it's feminine. Billy's having contacts with Semyas E, and Semyas A would be a man. Actually, the names, these are kind of like code names that they use, and they are, I guess you could call them spirit names. And they use these names to, one, express the level of education that the individual is currently in. And Semyas A or Semyas E is a spirit name that indicates that a person is more like a half-ishwish, that they've learned about half the knowledge that would be necessary to be a king or a queen of wisdom. That's the general idea. So that's what the name actually meant. So here in Eris's time, we have a scientist named Semyasa that began conducting experiments again on the Earth humans, the atoms. And this is where Adam and Eve actually came from these experiments, that he took a local Earth human woman and coupled her together with in some sort of lab experiment and created Adam. That's where Adam actually came from. He then did the breeding again and created a young lady. Okay, now he had in the lab creation an Adam and an Eve, a man and a woman. And when they grew up, he coupled them together, and that was the formation, or where the story of Adam and Eve actually started from. That's how it actually happened, and that was the beginning of the current race of people here on Earth, that they had been genetically altered through Adam and Eve, and that's how it really got started. You see, after this big destruction and all this war, there weren't very many people really left on the planet. We only really had about 3 tribes left. There was the Indian tribe that we think of here in the Americas. There was the inhabitants around the Black Sea, and there was the race called the Hebrews or the Gypsies at the time. That's about all the people that were left. We had the Sumerian race, which was hiding out over in India, up in the mountains and so forth over there, but those were ETs, and they weren't considered among the developing Earth human races. So we have 3 developing Earth human races which have genetically been started by Semyasa, this scientist from Eris. Eris is very upset that this is happening when he finds out, because frankly, he just didn't want his people mixed with the lower forms, the Earth people. And at first he was outraged. It's not known exactly what he did to Semyasa, but the many other scientists that were also experimenting with Earth people, many of them were killed or exiled or whatever. And apparently he was quite enraged until he discovered that now he had a whole new group of followers, that he not only had reign over his people, but he could also had more followers in the form of 3 groups of Earth people who were developing in these 3 areas around the planet. So to them, he set himself up as God, the creation, and they became to worship him. He thought so little of them that he demanded sacrifices from them. He was very cruel to them, quite often demonstrated to keep him in line by killing some of them. Now remember, Eris was an Ishwish, a very, very, very powerful man who understood much of the laws of nature. To him, things like telepathy, levitation, and most importantly, the ability to put thoughts in another person's mind was something that he understood. So that would be very scary to developing Earth people who had abilities nothing like this. Even on our level of knowledge today, someone like that would be very scary indeed. Well, Eris eventually died. He had a son named Jehav, Jehav, who was just as ruthless as he was and continued his reign of domination and fear, hate, and anger all over the planet. So the planet Earth was not in very good shape. We're going back now, we're about 9,000 years back when Jehav comes into power. Jehav has another son, Jehovah. Jehovah is the one who continued that tradition and actually helped pull all the Hebrews together and told them that they were his chosen people among all the other people on the planet, and instilled this thought of speciality into the Hebrew people through his ability mentally to do that. And this is where the concept started to the people that they were chosen over the other people of the planet. Well, perhaps they were, but at that time I don't think that was any great prize, considering the level of evolution and intelligence that was going on at the planet at that time. I don't think that was much of a prize. But at any rate, that's where the concept started. There were 2 or 3 other leaders after that who were not as vicious, who were not as bloodthirsty as Jehovah, who eventually wanted to return to the Pleiades. Life in the Pleiades had become very peaceful, very comfortable, and very loving. And life on Earth was very distasteful to these older, more evolved beings over a period of time. And eventually, they decided to leave. And it was 1943 years back from the year 1975, which puts us in the year 32, that they decided to leave Earth and return back to the Pleiades. At that time they did. That was kind of the end of the Lyrian Pleiadian leadership on the planet Earth. And for a long period of time, they just did nothing more than just occasionally watch in on us. It wasn't until around the 1600s that the current race of Pleiadians took an interest in us again, because we were starting to develop rapidly. And they began to build bases here on the planet again and actually monitor our civilization and take an interest in it. On several occasions they had open contacts with other people like Billy Meier, and leading up to 1937, when they again decided, because of the acceleration time that we're moving into, this Waterman era, that they again would procreate several spirits. And they did procreate 4. Procreation means to cause them to be born. And on February 3rd, 1937, at 11:20 in the morning, once again the Pleiadians intermingled, you might say, into the Society of Earth, and caused Billy and 3 others to be born, with a mission in mind to get themselves back involved with Earth people, pass on certain information, mostly spiritual information, to try to help us through this difficult time. You see, the Pleiadian theory is that the New Age, Waterman era, whatever you want to call it, the Golden Age, Age of Revolution, whatever you want to call us coming up, is a very important time. They understand scientifically what is actually happening and explain that to Billy, but they feel it's very important during this time of potential growth and learning, that they try to bring strong people forward, light bearers, light workers, teachers, prophets, and intelligent people forward, educate them so that the Earth has a chance to grow into a peaceful civilization instead of the rather warlike greed power system that currently prevails over our planet. First of all, let me make a couple of things clear, at least clear by the Pleiadians, that they wanted to make it known that the New Age time is not a time of ending. Many religions, beliefs, and different people like to think of this as the end of the world, that this is an ending time, and it's not. It is actually a time of change. It's a time of beginnings, and it's a time of wonderment. It's a chance for opportunity. They told Billy that we have roughly 800 years, they estimate. During the next 800 years will be the massive changeover, with the potential to move into a new type of social structure and a new society with a new way of thinking, where we would live closer in harmony to creation. If we miss that, if within the next 800 years that we instead fall into barbarism and continue with our greed, war, and power, that we most likely will annihilate ourselves, or someone will do it for us, and we would fall back into, dark times again. That let me explain a little bit more about what this means. The planet Earth is in a solar system. We're taught 9 planets, but there's actually 11, we're told, revolving around a sun. This solar system, then, that we're in, is on its own path. It's in a large kind of oval pattern of its own. And every 25,860 years, our solar system, it's just a scientific fact, returns to the same spot that it's at right now. We are revolving, we're moving very slowly as a solar system. Just like our planet revolves around the sun, our entire solar system also revolves around a central sun. That central sun is very, very powerful. We're just beginning to understand that radiations, electronic waves that are emanated by other heavenly bodies, planets, stars, etc., actually do affect our thoughts. They affect nature, and they have effect on a lot of things which we really don't understand yet. But the scientific understanding of the Pleiadians is that every 25,860 years, the solar system that we live in, all of our planets and our sun, move close in proximity to this central sun. The strongest point of radiation from that central sun is just as we enter it. That's when we get kind of a boost in energy. There's a surge of power, kind of like turning up the switch on your hair dryer from high to low, and there's this sudden surge of heat, and then after you use it for a second,